Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. This video is going to be my drugstore favorites. I got a request for doing this video and I thought it would be fun to talk you through my all-time favorite items from the drugstore. I have a couple of items in every single category for you, so I hope that way you get a good idea of what my favorites are, but also what I would recommend if you were to go out, if you're trying makeup or trying to get into it. And I already filmed this video before, but the focus was terribly off, so I hope this is a little bit better. And now I also have my Christmas tree up, so I thought we could get into the festive spirit here and just talk you through some lovely drugstore makeup. And since I have so much here, let's just get straight to it. So the very first category I would like to go over is tools. I think that in the drugstore, tools are a little bit more difficult to find good ones. 9 out of 10 times the quality of a lot of drugstore brushes. They're a bit, So the only super affordable brush brand that I really like is Zoeva. They do some really, really excellent brushes. It's just very difficult to get to, and I definitely wanted to focus on brands that are easier to get or that you are able to find depending on your location. I'm of course in the Netherlands, so that's why some of these items you may not be able to find, but I'm trying to put something in here for everyone. The one thing though that I can't skimp on is the tool that I want to share with you, which is this sponge. This is the Primark makeup blender sponge, I think. Primark sells makeup and I really, really love their sponges. This comes in a 2-pack with a lighter pink sponge, but this sponge is such a great beauty blender dupe, and the 2-pack retails for €2. Wow, which is why I have 3 of these. Confession. But yeah, so the Primark sponge is a really good one. If you're looking for an affordable makeup sponge, this is one of the best ones. So I thought we could just go over a full face of makeup while I'm talking about these products, so I thought that would be a good order to do it in. My first step would be primer, and I have one face primer that I want to share with you. This is quite new to me. This was launched just this year, and this is the Catrice Fresh It Up Moisturizing Primer with Bamboo Water. Just get the blue one because the name of this is atrociously long. This is a very good dupe for the Smashbox Primerizer I found. I used that before this, and I actually prefer this. Dare I say that? Yeah, I think I like this a little bit better than the Primerizer, only because it's just a fraction of the price. This retails for like €4 or €5, and it's just a really nice primer I found. Very hydrating, really comfortable on the skin, and it makes my makeup last a little bit longer, so that's great. I also want to share some eyeshadow primers with you. Eyeshadow primer was something I really committed to high-end primers only before, because I just wasn't able to find anything at an affordable price point that really worked for me. I have pretty dry skin, but for some reason, probably because I have such a deep crease, a lot of eye primers just don't really make my makeup stick, and a lot of my eyeshadow then ends up in the crease of my eye at the end of the day, which is just not a great look. So I found 2 at the drugstore that get the job done for me, and it's the Milani eyeshadow primer, which, as you can see, is running very, very low. But this is a great eyeshadow primer that just really gets the job done. But I found one by Catrice, again, new product by Catrice, that I think is going to be my replacement for this. And it's cheaper and it's easier to get for me as well. So the Catrice Eye Foundation Primer Matte. They also do a pearl one, so one that's a bit more shimmery. But I tried this out for like a week, and this has been really, really good. It comes with a little doe foot applicator, and I'm very excited about this one. So I'm actually really hoping that this will run out soon so I can get more use out of this. After primer, I would apply foundation, and in my previous video, I went mostly over high-end foundations because of my fair skin, I find it sometimes very difficult to find a good match at the drugstore. However, the drugstore has some really great foundations, and I have 2 that I highly recommend. The Fit Me Matte and Poreless is one that I really enjoy. It's still a very lightweight texture, I'd say. I don't really get the mattifying property with this because I have fairly dry skin and this still looks really nice on me. But what I love so much about this foundation is the shade range. This comes, I think, in like 40 different shades now. It's crazy. And this just, if you have a struggle So if you struggle finding your shade at the drugstore, then the Fit Me line is definitely one that you can look into. My all-time favorite drugstore foundation, I think, would have to be the Bourjois Healthy Mix. I don't hear as many people raving about this anymore than they used to. They definitely reformulated it, and maybe that has something to do with it. However, I really enjoy the new formula because the shade which I have is 51 Vanilla, Vanilla Claire, so light vanilla, is just a great shade match. And the older one was just a hair too dark for me, whereas this is really, really nice. And this is such a nice, breathable, lightweight texture. So in the next category, which would be concealer, we don't have a very big difference between my other like face makeup favorite video, because I already mentioned in that video that my two favorite concealers are from the drugstore, and the Catrice Liquid Camouflage is just a staple. I need to have a concealer from this line straight away. You can already see it's been standing upright. That, again, I've already used this quite a bit, so this is probably going to not last me a very long time once I start using this a little bit more religiously again. And then I have the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define in C3. I really like this. Both of these I've used up completely before, so I know what I'm talking about here. I love how the Catrice one now has a couple of shades lighter and a little bit more pink toned, which suits my skin a little bit better. But again, Catrice is not known for having a great shade range, so that's why if that's your issue, then this may not be one to look into. I find these pretty comparable. I think this is a little bit more drying, a little bit thicker in texture than this on my skin anyways. But this one I find is just, you know, it's available, I think, in 20 different shades. So this is just a really great one if you're struggling to find a good concealer match at the drugstore. Next step would be powder, and I have another two for you to share with you today. And the first one is the NYX Banana Powder HD. As you can see, I've hit major pan on this. I'm currently trying to use this up. It's a really, really nice finely milled powder, and it doesn't break the bank. However, for a drugstore price point, it's still perhaps a little bit on the high-end part of it. So that's why I also wanted to share with you a more budget-friendly alternative. I really like the Catrice Prime Fine waterproof setting powder. They came out with this luminizing version, which is not a match, but this is what I currently have. But this is sort of like my stand-in for the other powder, which is a translucent powder, which is really, really nice. So I would highly recommend that one if you're fair-skinned, but this might work just as fine on you if you are a little bit more deep-skinned. So after powder, I would do brows. And yeah, for brows, I have a couple that I really like. I really like this eyebrow pencil. This is by Soap & Glory, which if you're not in the UK, can be very difficult to find. This is the Archery Brow Pencil, and it's just a twist up. It's a dupe for the Anastasia Brow Wiz, and yeah, this is just such a great eyebrow pencil. And I keep, whenever I'm in London, I tend to go there once a year almost, and I always pick one or two up of these. You do run out of them quite quickly, and yeah, but this is my absolute favorite. But I have found that the NYX like slimline pencil is also very good. So that's a little bit easier for me to get a hold of, but I don't currently own that. But of course, there's more that you can do with brows than just using a pencil. I really like the Essence Make Me Brow. Again, I don't currently own that. I need to repurchase it. But that's my favorite brow gel at the drugstore for certain. But Catrice also do some really nice brow products. One of their classics is the Eyebrow Set. And this is a brow powder. Mine is falling apart, as you can see. And this is very well loved. Back when I was a powder girl, this is what I used. I chose this over my Anastasia powder that I used to own. It's that good. In terms of brow pomades, I never really got on the pomade train all that much. I've got pretty good brows myself, if I'm really honest. But I did try a couple just to see what I liked. And I was very impressed with the Freedom pomade. This is no longer available because Freedom was rebranded into Revolution Pro. But if you look in the Revolution Pro line and find their brow pomade, I think that will be a very similar product. It just seems to be rebranded. This is in the shade Taupe. I haven't used it a whole lot. As I said, pomades aren't necessarily my jam. But in terms of pomade, I found that this is a great one and it doesn't dry out too quickly, so that's good. For the next product, I would start using bronzer, and I showed you my H&M bronzer in the previous video, which I absolutely adore. However, it's probably a little bit more difficult to get. I know most people will have H&M, but H&M Beauty isn't available at all stores. Plus, to me, is that really drugstore makeup? It's around that price point, but some of their products are a little bit more pricey. So it's sort of like in that vague middle ground, I'd say. But I do have two favorites that are definitely drugstore products, and that's these two. They are, again, more difficult to get. If you're fair-skinned, finding a bronzer at the drugstore that works, that doesn't make you look orange, that doesn't make you look muddy, very difficult to find, which is why I had to source these abroad, you could say. The Soap & Glory Solar Powder, let me show you what this looks like. That's this powder, is really, really nice. And then, of course, the cult classic, the Butter Bronzer by Physicians Formula. Believe it or not, if you're in the Netherlands, you can buy this at a very affordable price point because you can buy this off of iHerb, which is where I got mine, and they will actually not charge you outrageous shipping costs. So if you just get this product, you will stay under the limit that you can actually import into the country, so you won't have to pay any extra duties on it, and you will buy it for the American like drugstore price, so will not be upmarked and all that. Physician Formula isn't a super affordable brand, of course, to begin with, but this bronzer, I have mine in a shade bronzer. Believe it or not, it's not the lightest shade they do. Contrary to what most people would do, I think most people would move on to blush, but I personally move on to highlight next. And highlighter-wise, drugstore highlighters and me were not usually really, really great friends. I find most drugstore highlights don't really bring me anything extra. They're usually like one shade of icy champagne, and that's about it. Or they're super gold, or way too sparkly. I've tried a lot. I think that Catrice do a couple of decent ones, but my favorite drugstore highlight, if I have to be honest, is a limited edition one by Catrice. And I know that limited edition products can be a little bit problematic, but hey, if it's my favorite highlighter, I'm gonna talk about it. This is from the limited edition Enter Wonderland collection. It's in the shade Fairy Dust. This is from a very old, way back in the day collection. And this is like a peachy pink highlight, and it's super flattering on my skin. And I don't have anything like this, not even in my high-end highlighter collection. I don't have anything like this highlight, so that's why it's very unique too. I just hope that Catrice would bring this back. And then last but not least in this highlighter category is Milani. I think that these Afterglow highlighters by Milani are some of the best at the drugstore. Again, depending on where you get these may be more affordable or not. If you buy them from a Dutch web shop, you will definitely be marked up quite a bit. So you will pay like almost double for these than when you get them in the US. But that's where I got mine. So these were definitely not too expensive. Again, Milani is not the cheapest drugstore brand in the US that you can get. But this shade, Afterglow, it's just one of the best highlighters. Next up would be blush, and I wanted to be very careful to feature products that are not sold at the drugstore, but I can't go around and not feature my all-time favorite blush, which is by Kiko. This is the Shade Fusion blush, and that's what it looks like. I also featured this in my previous like face makeup video, but this is just such a great one, and you do need to have a Kiko store to try and find it, but this retails for around 10 euros, which it's a little bit more expensive than drugstore, I'd say, at least for most drugstore blushes. And the other two options I have for you, this is definitely a little bit more up there in price. But if it's my absolute favorite, like all-time favorite blush, I have to feature it here, of course. But yeah, I think that drugstore blushes are definitely something that can be really nice. Case in point, this is an Essence blush. This retails for less than 3 euros, I think. And this has become a firm favorite. This shade is new, apparently. At least it had the new sticker when I bought it. So I'm not sure if it's like new or how new this actually is. But this is such a pretty like natural blush shade. And I had never tried these like standard blushes by Essence before this one. And I have to say I'm very much impressed. So Essence blush at the drugstore. Find it. You'll love it. But another blush that I wanted to recommend, because I'm a matte blush kind of girl, but I know not everybody likes matte blushes. Some people prefer to have a little bit of shimmer. And I really like the heart-shaped products by I Heart Revolution. They do bronzers, they do blushes, they do highlighters. This is a bronzer, technically, but if I show you this, you will see why I like wearing this as a blush. This is a very pink-toned, they call it a bronzer, but it has a bit of a golden sheen, but that's where the bronzing really stops. I love wearing this in the summertime. This is so pretty if you want also a very easy look, if you don't want to do bronzer, highlight, and blush. This is like your one-stop shop in terms of cheek products. So I definitely wanted to feature it here because I was very much impressed with this product. Highlighters, however, don't only come in powder form, of course. They also come in creamy sticks and they also come in liquids. So I thought I'd feature 2 of those. This is the Essence Holo Wow, what's it called again? Sparkle Stick. And this is in the shade Sparkles in Your Life. And what I like so much about this is the shade. It looks like a white stick, but it actually has a bit of a peachy pink glow to it. And again, I've never tried anything else like this. It's very nice and creamy. I do like to rub it onto my fingers first and then dab that onto my cheeks to really get a nice glow, a glowy effect. And these kind of sticks I really like to use in the summertime. So again, not something I reach for every single day, but this is definitely a product that's going to be hanging around my makeup collection for some time to come. If you prefer a liquid, then these Maybelline strobing liquids are actually really nice. Let me just show you what this looks like, because this is insane. This is so intense. And this is in the lightest shade. They do 2, I think. They do like a goldy one. This is the pinky one, so the light one. And I put it on there. And then when you start blending this, look at that. It's so much shine. So this is really one of those products that looks really, really nice if you use it under your foundation and then blend it on top. So, and then a powder again, and then you get this really nice lit from within kind of look. But this also works really well if you want to make your foundation a bit more luminous, for instance. From cream highlighter to cream eyeshadow then, and I really go back and forth between whether I like using cream shadow or not. What I mostly like cream shadow for is either as like a base, so for a smoky eye, or if I have an eyeshadow that I know isn't very vibrant that I would like to reinforce, then I use that, or by itself. So if I want to go for a very quick and easy makeup look, then I tend to wear cream shadow. One of my favorite eyeshadows to do that with, to wear on its own, is So Quiche by ColourPop. This is such a nice shade. It's sort of like a taupe with like a pinky greeny shade. It's really, really nice. ColourPop is, of course, a little bit expensive to ship over here. However, I've heard they are now adding your duties into your order. So when you place an order, you know exactly what you will be paying. Thank heavens. But they also do free international shipping quite often. But in terms of cream shadow, my ultimate favorite product would have to be these. These are the Kiko eyeshadow sticks, and they do them in very neutral colors, but also really nice bright pops of color. And I really like using these on my lower lash line, or as I already mentioned, these are the kind of things I like to go in, these are the kind of products I like to use as a base underneath other shadows, and they do a couple of really unique shades. Powder shadow then. This is quite possibly my favorite part of this video. I love eyeshadows, you know that, and I have 4 palettes here that I really like. I used to be really into drugstore singles, but I think most of the singles I own are actually from the drugstore, but a lot of the ones that I really love have been discontinued. So we're going in with palettes. I really, really enjoy some of the MUA palettes that they do. These retail for like $6.99. This has amazing pigmentation. If you don't yet own anything like a Morphe 35.0 or a 35.02, I think you will be able to get very similar looks with this. The red and that bright orange, they go onto your eye that bright. So, and it has some really stunning shimmers too. I like traveling with these too, since they are so cheap. And they are very slim and very small and handy. You can very easily travel with these as well. And for $6.99, I really don't mind these if they break. I can repurchase them very easily, so that's why I like traveling with these as well. If there's one makeup brand that I think that brought brighter, more fun colors to the drugstore, then it would have to be Sleek. Sleek is a brand that does some really nice eyeshadow palettes for a very affordable price point. Not everybody loves them because they are a little bit tougher to work with, but in terms of shade selection and color stories, Sleek definitely gets the job done, I'd say. So this palette sadly has been discontinued because lately Sleek has been discontinuing a lot of their more interesting shade selections. This is the Sunset palette. I'm so happy that I ended up buying this. It has a lot of shimmers, which nowadays isn't everyone's makeup aesthetic anymore, but back in the day, this was like one of the ultimate raved about products. In terms of neutrals, I think that the Drugstore is just killing it when it comes to neutrals. However, the quality isn't always the best. There are just a lot of just powdery, chalky eyeshadows out there in the Drugstore, and when I came across this palette by Essence, it definitely changed my perception. Me and Essence eyeshadows don't always get on very well, but this is one of the best things Essence has come out with in a very long time, I have to say. This is just, it has all the neutrals you could possibly want in one palette. 9 shades, so nothing too crazy, not too many if you're a beginner or a more advanced makeup lover like myself, and you would like to try some good neutrals at the Drugstore. This again retails for $6.99. Feels nice and sturdy, cardboard. It definitely feels like a much more expensive product than it actually is. And these shades are so lovely. Very neutral, very versatile little palette. Cannot recommend it enough. But of course, we can't leave out, I think, the palette I raved about the most ever since I got it. So I think I bought this like over the summer or at the end of summer when this came out. This is the Violet Chocolate palette by Makeup Revolution, and if you're looking for a purple palette, this one. This is just a really good, affordable eyeshadow palette, plus the color story in this is absolutely phenomenal. 2 more categories left to finish off our makeup look. First one is mascara. My mascara for the past decade has been Drugstore mascara. My 2 favorite brands, L'Oreal and Maybelline. This is one of my tried and true ones. This is the Falsies Flared. Again, no longer available over here, but this is just volume to the max and I love it. I think that the mascara, Drugstore mascara that sort of took the makeup world by storm was the Lash Paradise, Paradise Ecstatic it's called in Europe. And this is just a great L'Oreal mascara. Again, very volumizing. But for a little bit more length, I really like the False Lash Wings Midnight Blacks mascara by L'Oreal. This has also been discontinued by now. Luckily, I still have a backup. But yeah, this is a great mascara. Last but not least, we have lipsticks, because we need a nice lipstick to finish off our makeup look. I've never really succeeded in finding a good nude lipstick at the Drugstore. But reds and more bold colors, I think a lot of Drugstore brands do very well. I think that this lipstick will go into the history books. This is the Rimmel Kate lipstick in 107. This is such a great one. So sad that these have been discontinued. And again, because this has been discontinued, I wanted to feature some products that you can still get. This Maybelline lipstick, I really like Maybelline lipsticks to begin with. Let's just start there. I think that's one of my favorite Drugstore brands, I'd have to say. I have quite a few of them. And this is a shade I was wearing in one of my previous videos, actually. If you were wondering what I was wearing in my small creator tag, this was it. It's a really nice, deep, vampy shade. It's called Midnight Merlot. And it's just a really nice, like, good, intense, bold shade, which I love. My favorite red at the Drugstore has to be the Catrice Ultimate Matte. My other favorite Drugstore brand has to be Catrice when it comes to lipsticks. And this matte line that they released. So that's the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed watching it. These are all of my all-time favorite Drugstore products. So I'm very curious to hear what your favorite products are. So leave a comment down below if you have any recommendations. Maybe there are things in there that I haven't tried yet that I would love to, because I love trying out drugstore makeup. It's always fun to find those drugstore gems, and these are mine. So yeah, without further ado, this is the end of the video. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate that. And if you'd like to stick around for more videos, then please stay tuned, because I make new videos on Thursday and Sunday. So if you subscribe to this channel by clicking that red button down below, then you will be able to stay up to date with whenever I post new videos. And for now, I wish you a very pleasant day, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!